much harder than it sounds. I know it's closing if I just stand still. Cause you won't wait forever, so just hear me out. It is not like I don't want you, just scared to try. Even if the odds are in my favor, I just need more time. So if you wait just a little bit longer, I will treat you right. Treat you right, yeah. Soon as I saw you, I knew it's never right now. Right now. Someone like you wouldn't take that. I don't calm down, close my eyes, take me for a ride. Got to be you. So come and light me up. I still need your fire, baby. I still want you by my side. Light me up, let me touch the flame now, baby. I'm your phoenix tonight. Come on and rise. Come on and rise. Come on and rise. Light me up, can't get enough. Take your time, just do it right. We will rise to the skies, 'cause we ain't done till we hit the sun. Got to be you. So come and light me up. I still need your fire, baby. I still want you by my side. Light me up, let me touch the flame now, baby. I'm your phoenix tonight. Come on and rise. Come on and rise. Come on and rise. Baby, you light me up. I just can't get enough. 'Cause I need your fire. So come and light me up. I still need your fire, baby. I still want you by my side. Light me up, let me touch the flame now, baby. I'm your phoenix tonight. Come on and rise. So come on and rise. Come on and rise. You are the only one, only one, only one, only one. You are the only one, only one, only one. Only one, only one, only one. Only one, only one, only one, only one, only one. Only one, only one, only one. Only one, only one, only one. You are the only one, only one, only one. Only one, only one,
Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Here we go. Yo, yo. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Woo! Day Zero Trading Podcast, baby. What's going on? I'm here, Jack Whitney, with my co-host, Dylan. Dylan, let's put you up here on screen. Let's see if we can get it.
What up? What up?
Yo, yo. I gotta switch you. Hold on.
you gotta fix that screen, bro.
I do. I have to fix the screen.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, we'll go back to here.
Jack just wanted 2 pictures of himself on the screen. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted his webcam and his Discord profile photo. That's
Exactly. It's exactly what I wanted. Well, it's going to take me a second to fix that. So, as everybody's piling in, Dylan, I would love to, as I'm showing your face, for you to just kind of introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, and we'll kind of kick this thing off.
Yeah, man, sweet. Well, yeah, like Jack said, my name's Dylan. I am 28, about to be 29, and then 30, which is going by way too quickly because my body feels great and terrible at the same time. But I am, 28 years old, live in Australia. Jack and I met through gaming, believe it or not, which isn't exactly the healthiest habit, but we'll get into that at some point. But but yeah, I mean, I work in a gym. I'm not a PT or anything, but I work in a gym doing sales. I've been training for the on and off for 10 years. Only really taken it seriously probably the last year and a half. But yeah, on and off for 10 years. Always loved fitness, always been an athlete growing up. Went through track and field, basketball, those kind of things. Played junior college out in the States in New York for 2 years. Played semi-professionally back here in Australia, and obviously just did a bunch of other stuff in between. Was national level track and field when I was a kid. So I've always been around sports. So, lifting and the gym and fitness has always been like a real big passion of mine as well. Um, and yeah, it's just when Jack sort of came to me and said, I'm looking at doing this thing. Jack's very smart when it comes to, fitness and lifestyle and the personal training side of things. But, where I've sort of come in is I've got a background in YouTube and TikTok. So the social media side of things is where I feel like I can help this thing really thrive. And Jack said, what can we do to help make it grow and make it popular? I said, dude, you need to do a podcast and you need to do social media like TikTok or YouTube or something along those lines. So we threw this together, sort of in the last week or so, but we've
Yep.
been planning it probably forever. So,
Yeah, we have.
yeah, a lot of work's gone into this, and I'm just happy to tag along and do what I can to help out. And yeah, let's get it cranking.
Yeah, man. Dude, like you've said, we've known each other for a long time.
Mm,
It's been awesome just to kind of get to know you over the years, and as we've gotten
like
to know each other,
6 years.
yeah, something crazy like that. As we've gotten to know each other, we found that we actually have some pretty similar interests. When it
Yeah.
comes to, especially when it comes to lifting and sports and stuff like that, man. So, um, it's cool, bro. It's cool to be here. It's crazy. We're coming to you guys from two separate sides of the world, kind of. Uh,
Yeah.
but but yeah, man. I'll introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Jack Winnie. I have been personal training for about a year now. A lot of my stuff has been online, but some in person. I went through an internship called Show Up Fitness at the beginning of this year. And that's kind of where my love and passion for all this stuff kind of started. I started lifting, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago, maybe. Had no idea what I was doing. There's videos out there somewhere of me benching, 25 pounds, whatever. But started this journey and just absolutely fell in love with it at the beginning of this year, man. And um, love helping take people's goals and implementing strategies and different things and helping them achieve those goals and make them feel good, not only physically but mentally, emotionally, helping them in other areas of their life. So it's been a really fulfilling time. Um, of my life, and I wanted to create a community and start to spread the idea of day zero training, and essentially what day zero training means to me is that we as a society, as a people, always talk about our goal starting tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to start my new diet, or tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym, or tomorrow I'm going to try this new routine. But there's nothing really stopping us from starting today besides ourselves. And so that's where the whole concept of day zero came from. And I wanted to create something that was bigger than just, Jack Whitney is training people. I wanted to create something that meant something to each individual. And so maybe some of you have heard that the rock audio that's day one, or one day, right? And that's cool and all, but they're talking about tomorrow. What we're talking about, that's today. And that's what day zero means to me. Today is day zero. Today is the day that you've chosen to change your life. Today, right now, is the day that you've chosen to make a difference. And to be honest, my first thought when it came to making day zero, bro, was if you think you don't have time to work out, but you could do push-ups wherever. Like you could get down on the ground, do push-ups wherever. So there's always time. There's always a little bit of money. All these things that we think are holding us back, really, ultimately, are not. I think, and so That's really the meaning behind day zero, the idea behind day zero, and yeah, that's kind of a little bit about my background. Um, I know I touched on it a little bit, but Dylan, what kind of got you into lifting in the first place?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll go into that. I just wanted to touch on something you said quickly. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people say they don't have time to train, but one thing I learned when I started working at the gym I'm currently at, that we tell a lot of people, one of the excuses that we get, and it is an excuse in that, is that I don't have time. Like I don't
Hmm.
have time to train. One thing that I was told when I started really early that actually stuck with me is that a 30-minute workout is 8% of your day.
Yeah.
So like if
Yeah.
you break up your 24 hours into 30-minute brackets, 8% of your day is a 30-minute workout. So like if you can't get up 8% earlier, like to do a 30-minute workout, whether it's just a walk or, you go and lift or whatever you might do, like that, really is just an excuse at that point because you don't need every single percentage of your day while you're awake to
Hmm.
do, work and grocery shopping and whatever day-to-day stuff you need to do. Like 8% of your day should be allocated to at least being active or getting out and moving your body. So, yeah, something for anyone listening that struggles with motivation, you need to keep in mind like that. It just comes down to that. It's on you. It's 8%. Like that's not a long time. So if you dedicate yourself to that, then you're going to see results either way. But yeah, I guess as far as I get into training, my whole thing was, like I said earlier, like being an athlete growing up, like I had to be strong, I had to be fast, I had to be explosive. So a lot of my time in the gym was based around my sports and things like that. And growing up, my body just sort of took to lifting, and really, I guess, excelled in that area. As far as, I guess, compared to my friends, is probably the main thing. Like we all lifted, we all went to the gym, but I seemed to progress a lot quicker. I seemed to have more focus in the gym. I enjoyed it more, and they were just, you know, doing it because our coach said to do it. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, whereas
Yeah.
I was actually like trying to learn and trying to be like, okay, well, like, what's going to make me faster? What's going to make me a better athlete? What's going to make me stronger? And those kind of things. So that was always what I was focused on in the gym, whereas they were just screwing around and they were just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like do this, and like they'll do like 3 reps and then they'll put the weight down, and it's not even like they were trying to max out or anything. Where I was like, okay, like throw some 20s on, like, can I lift this? How much can I lift this? Am I going to drop it on myself? Like, where's my limit basically? Like I was always obsessed with finding where my limit was, in the gym, but also like on the court as well. Like we used to run sprints and stuff, and I would just go and go and go and go until I like pretty much fell down. And I had a coach that from a very young age, when I was like 16, that used to push me so hard, that I kind of realized that, okay, like you can get to your limit, but like a couple minutes later, like you're good, you can go
Hmm.
again.
Hmm.
And that really sort of showed me that, like, if you apply that in the gym as well, like, yeah, you can go in the gym and, like I said, my friends would just go through the motions and do whatever. They didn't see the results.
Right.
Whereas, coming out of high school, my body was developed, my muscles were developed, my athleticism was progressing, and theirs wasn't. So, it's one of those things where my start for training was functional, and it was for like sports. But then, as I got older and I did college and went through all that and came back and played semi-professionally here for basketball, and then obviously injuries and stuff happen, and I don't want to be that, like back in my day, like when I was a athlete type person. Like I don't want to be that, but injuries happen to everyone. That kind of ruined a lot of things for me, and it was very hard for me to come back from. And decided to take a different route, which I busted up my ankle, and during the rehab times when I started doing YouTube for gaming stuff, and then that took off, and so I decided to put my time into that instead of going down the basketball avenue, because I just didn't feel like that was going to go where I originally planned it to go, after the injuries and stuff. So, and I'm honestly glad I did. Like the YouTube thing blew up, became pretty successful there. Now have an audience of almost 50,000 on YouTube, and multiple TikTok accounts with close to 30K followers over there. And um, but yeah, so after that, it kind of went into, all right, well, what am I going to do now to stay fit? And that's when the gym came in. I was like, look, I've always liked training in the gym. Let me get in there. Let me see what I can do. Let me start to learn more and more and more. And, I guess watching people like Chris Bumstead or one guy out here in Australia, Zach Perner, and a lot of like other guys that, you know, in that like fitness influencer space, that always really intrigued me because, I'm not uh like I'm not a personal trainer, but like I knew I wanted to be around fitness. So like seeing that, I was like, all right, how can I get in the industry? What can I do for my training? And then just tried to learn as much as I could in terms of like different types of training. What's going to best benefit me? What type of training do I enjoy the most? And I guess for me, like the typical like bulk and cut, push pull leg split was where I spent a lot of time. I did do the bro split for a while, and honestly, like I didn't hate it, but it got repetitive, and I guess the push pull leg split can get a little bit the same. So, for me it was finding a balance of like, okay, let me do this training block for 8 weeks, and then let me do this for 8 weeks, and then like that way it's not stagnant and kind of just mixing it up. So, um, right now I've just started a cut for my training, so spent a bit of time bulking, just trying to get some extra size on, and now it's just about leaning down, getting rid of some body fat, um, and yeah, just going from there. And after we're done with this like 6 week sort of mini cut, uh, back into the bulk. So get through Christmas, and then like right around Christmas time, I'll hit the bulk and eat all that Christmas food
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah, man, that stuffing's dangerous. That stuffing and all the cookies and shit. Yeah, it's all
oh
coming.
man,
It's all
yep,
coming. It's scary. Um, yeah, dude, it's like it's always been a part of your life. Like health,
mm,
wellness, performance, the gym. Like it's always been
yeah,
there. Um, Not only is something like it's taking the role of right now where you're spending more time, deliberately lifting weights and strength training, stuff like that, and
mm,
like hypertrophy training, but like before when you're training for performance and athleticism and strength and endurance and power and stuff like that, like very very some different ways of training, but like at the core of it, that like drive has always kind of like been there, which is
yeah.
super sick. Which is why I wanted to have you here, bro, because I know that you have the passion and the energy and the love for it. So, um, yeah, that's super cool. I appreciate you sharing all that. Um, I I feel like it's definitely been a different journey for me. I feel like I just kind of like not even really overnight, but like I was never, I played sports when I was a little kid, but I was never playing like football in high school or middle school or anything like that. And so
Mhm.
um, for me, I was like a super, super, super skinny kid in high school. And I kind of came out of high school and didn't want to do that anymore. And I was in ROTC in college, and that's when I first really started. Like, that's the first time my college weight room was really the first time when I started. Like my buddies were like, "Yo, come on, come lift with us." Like after our PT, they'd be like, "Come lift with us. We're gonna do more." I was like, "Oh, sick." So then that's the first time I was like, "Oh, this is how you properly bench, and this is how you do this, and this is how you do this." And I fell in love with it. We were working out for like 3 hours every day, skipping class, stuff like that. I was just falling in love with it. And then fast forward to today. Still doing the same thing. I'm still skipping class
Yeah.
to go to the gym with my buddies. But yeah, I just kind of my love grew from there. I did like when COVID hit, man. I was going. I was running, biking, and going to the gym every single day. I was falling in love with it. When I
Mm.
moved out to San Diego, I fell even more in love with it. That's when I did my personal training stuff, and I got injured as well. Probably um, a little under a year ago now. I was doing a hack squat, and at some point on this podcast, we'll show the video. But I was doing a hack squat, and I I fucked up my neck bad, bad, and it was it was pretty depressing, like not being able to train, not being able to lift. Like I hated it, and it was not a fun time for me. Um, but slowly got back into it. Slowly did exercises for my neck to kind of get back into the groove of things, and from there just started going harder and harder every single day because you learn to appreciate even more. You know, when you go through that injury and you come out of it, you're like, oh shit, like I. I love this, and every single day I need to give everything I've got to this, you know. So um, that's where like my love came for it, and I feel like just recently like my enjoyment of it has been sparked even more, and so um, that's kind of my like history in the health and wellness space, and it's pretty recent. I'm going to school for kinesiology at the moment, and so I just wanted to fill my time with this world, the science, the lifting, everything like that. Um, and that's why we're here, man. We're here to talk about uh, bridging that gap between the bro science, the real science. What does it look like to lift heavy as fuck and still train smart? You know what I mean? Uh, so
Yeah, for sure.
so let's kind of jump into that a little bit, bro, because I think that's the biggest thing that I wanted to touch on with this first episode because
Mhm.
um, a lot of times people will go online, they look for online personal trainers and stuff like that, and they don't really know. You don't really know what somebody's style is until you talk to
Yeah,
them, till
until
you
you've worked with them.
right,
Yeah.
so you sit down with them, maybe you go through a couple months or something like that, and there's a balance, I think, and a gap that exists in the fitness industry right now, and that gap that I think
Mm.
exists is uh, kind of the bro science. You got to lift heavy. You got to do this, do that, and the real science. And I think that there's value in both of those worlds. And I think that in between, obviously, there's people who bridge that gap. I think hypertrophy coach is a fantastic example. But um,
Mm.
in between those, I think somewhere in there lies the best solution for a lot of people. And so I kind of wanted to break that down a little bit. Um, we'll kind of split it up into a couple sections. So like, let's talk about lifting like a crazy motherfucker for a second, because
Like Goggins shit.
yeah, like David Goggins level, like Ronnie Coleman deadlifting 700 pounds, like the
That's ridiculous, bro.
these are the guys that like when I really started getting into bodybuilding and lifting, these are the guys that I just like watch their videos over and over and over again. Um, so like Ronnie Coleman,
Who's gonna carry the
Dorian Yates,
boats?
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. What does it look like, or what do you think of when you hear bro science, or what does that mean to you? How do you incorporate like that intensity into your
Mm.
training?
Yeah, bro. I mean, first things first. I guess I need to see that video of you on the hack squat. So,
Yeah,
you might need you might need to get that for next episode because
yeah.
as much as like I don't condone like injuring yourself or anything, that sounds hilarious. So I'm gonna need to see
It was my
that.
neck. I was sitting
um,
there, bro. I sat there. I finished the set. We were doing a drop set. There were 3 plates on each side, and so we did like AMRAP, as many reps as
yep.
possible, and then took a plate off. AMRAP with 2 plates, as many reps as possible. Took a plate off, and then
Mm.
AMRAP with 1 plate. And it was that 1 plate. And my buddy was like, two more, two more, two more. And I did one more, and I felt like the shooting pain through the whole back of my head, and in my back, and in the bottom of my head, and my neck, and I was like, holy fuck. And then he was like, one more, one more. And I was like, sitting there like, no. I was like, no, please. So I stopped, and bro, the video was just like 3 minutes of me just sitting there like
Bro,
my
just
head's up
folded
like
inside
this.
the
I'm
hack
like,
squat.
dude, I was seeing colors, bro. Like, you know when you're online and you like see like the things are separated into like red, green, blue. Like that's what it looked like.
Mm.
Everything
Yeah.
looked like it was RGB. So, anyways, we'll show the
Yeah.
video. So at some
Yeah,
point we'll show the
it's like that meme where it's like when she kissed your neck and you're just there like
video.
like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
on the ground like
yeah. It's funny.
that's funny.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I guess that's kind of a good segue into this, train insane mentality where you see guys like Ronnie Coleman and stuff that just literally like train insane in the gym. Um, one thing that I guess should be a bit of a disclaimer with that training style is if you're a beginner, do not do this. Like if you're just starting in the gym, like this is probably one of those things for people that are a bit more experienced lifters, you know, your Ronnie Colemans and people like that, where they've literally been training in the gym their whole life. Like if you're coming into the gym for the first time and you try and do some of this stuff, like you are going to hurt yourself. Like
Right.
you're going to break your body, injure yourself, move it in a way that it's not supposed to move, and you know you're never going to want to train again. So, I guess yeah, if you're new to the gym, this probably isn't the style that you're going to be looking to do. And like we'll talk about it a bit more, but there are levels of intensity that you can push to that are still like, excuse me, you're going to test your limits in the gym when you're a beginner or when you're just starting out. But this isn't exactly the way to do it. Like the Ronnie Coleman clip where he's squatting like 500 pounds or something. Like that's ridiculous
Mm-hmm.
amounts of weight that
Mm-hmm.
he's got on the bar there. And, you know, if someone fresh in the gym even put on, you know, 120, you know, they're going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
holy shit, this is heavy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and probably hurt themselves. So, um, I guess for me, I was never the type of person to train like this. Even as an experienced lifter, I don't train like this because I feel like for me in public gyms, like you look like a douchebag, and a lot of gyms will basically uh not stereotype you, but I guess if you're too much of a crazy person inside the gym, they will come and talk to you and be like, hey, like you need to chill out. And if you don't chill out, they'll be like, hey, you need to go. Like, so, you know, for me, I'm not the guy that's screaming in the gym. I'm not the guy that's like grunting hella loud. Like, I'll push myself, but I'll cry in silence, basically. Like if I'm like really working hard through a set, like I'll kind of try to hold it in as best I can. But it's not to say that the work level's not there. Like I'll definitely push my body in ways that, you know, that push me past my limits, and I definitely do that, especially like you said on a hack squat or a leg press or something like that. They're kind of your movements where you can really test your body, in terms of like heavy weight and high reps, those things that you can do with your body in those positions. But um, yeah, I'll anyone that's watched my TikTok clips in the gym will know that, you know, I'm very much a suffer in silence type, and I'll just kind of talk to my stream or my chat or whatever, or if I'm recording, it's very much a struggle through the set and then like die afterwards kind of thing. I'm not screaming through my sets or, um, you know, sounding like a madman with people around or anything like that. So it's definitely one style of training that I feel like people in less crowded gyms can get away with. But for
Yeah.
me, like as someone who works in a busy ass gym, like I'm not trying to scream while there's like 20 people around me on other machines and stuff like that. So especially in my place of work, like that just
Yeah. That. Yeah.
wouldn't be a good look for the business and things like that. So, um, but yeah, interested to see what your thoughts are on that, and I guess if you've ever had that style of training be your main style as such.
Yeah, so I haven't had that style of training be my main thing. I think
Mm.
a lot of what I'm focusing right now is a body part split, um, and a bodybuilding style of training. And so some of those are less reps and way more intense sets that I'm like pushing really, really hard through, and some of those are closer to 15 reps. So it kind of just
Mm.
depends where I am in the workout and what the goals are for that week and stuff like that. But it's funny you say all that because because I work out at a small gym where
Yeah.
there's power lifters, there's some other bodybuilders, um,
Yeah, so
who
you're safe.
who are
You're
doing
chilling.
like "Ah!" like
Yeah.
like that's happening
Yeah.
sometimes, and I definitely do that
Yeah,
sometimes.
buddy.
Yeah,
From
exactly,
the back of
exactly.
the gym,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's funny because the environment that you're in is plays a huge role kind of in like what style of training. Like
yeah,
if you're trying to just train stupid and go crazy and just put more and more and more and more weight on there, maybe don't go to like a huge commercial gym. Maybe try and find something that's a little bit
mm.
smaller, right? Um,
Yeah. Like, don't go to Planet Fitness. Like,
right.
like,
And actually, I wanna pause for a second, give a quick shout out to the guys in the X chat. We got Kevin McConnell and Josh Hellman there. Yo, I appreciate you boys. Thank you guys for dropping in, watching the stream.
love y'all.
Love this, and And look, Josh can attest. I've done a couple of sessions training with him, um, coaching him through some workouts, and he has had to tell me multiple times to like quiet down a little bit. Like,
Yo, shut
in
the fuck up, bro. You're
a,
making people look.
yeah, he's like maybe because I get into it, man. When I'm there and I can see he's pushing and I can see we're working and like that energy, like you need to put that energy into your muscle into the set and um, sometimes I'll get into it. I'll start like gritting my teeth and I'm like, come on, one more, let's go. And he's like, bro, just chill a little bit, just chill. Um, but no, man, I really love I love the going into the gym with the mentality, even if it's not like external, like you're not screaming, you're not doing whatever, but going into the gym with the mentality of like I'm gonna wreck this workout in every single way possible, right? That's just especially when you're trying to. I don't think in everyday life, if you're trying to stay fit, if you're trying to stay healthy, I don't know if that's necessarily the mentality you need to have, but if you're trying to compete in a show, a bodybuilding
Oh
show,
yeah, for sure.
powerlifting competition, something like that. Like, if that's your goal, I think then you have to be a little bit, and I think a lot of people would attest to this. You have to be a little bit like, well, we're fucking going crazy, right? You have to be a little bit crazy to like push yourself past that point of pain to really get the most out of the workout. So, um, I definitely don't recommend everybody push past the point of pain, but for some, that intensity is required to become good at what you're doing, right? So,
Yeah. I mean, I guess too though, like knowing where your limit actually is really important too, because like you said, like you can push through pain, but if it's the wrong kind of pain and you
right.
push through it, like you're gonna end up
Yep.
worse off. Like
Yep.
you need to spend enough time in the gym to know like, okay, like I'm struggling right now, but I know that my body will allow me to do 2 more reps. Like if you're at a point where, oh, my knee feels like it's about to go, and you're trying to push through two more reps, and then you snap your knee, and you tear a meniscus or ACL or something like that, and you're out for 6, 8, 9 months, like whatever it might be, you then put yourself so far backwards. So like for again, like coming from, if you're new in the gym, like you need to find where your limits are by spending enough time in the gym training before you go and start this crazy, like I'm gonna go and just destroy my body for the next hour and a half in the gym, and see just how much I can pretty much fuck myself up to try and
Yeah.
make these muscles grow and make my body, better than it was yesterday. So um, yeah, knowing your limits is super important as well, just so you don't,
Yeah.
injure
Yeah.
yourself and end up worse off. Yeah.
And that's where a good coach can come in and like help you walk that path
Mm-hmm.
because even
Mm-hmm.
like we could talk about progressive overload for a second, which is in some way adding intensity over time, right? So if you're doing 100 pounds on bench press, the next week you do 120 pounds or 105 pounds or 110 pounds, whatever it is, or you do one more rep or something like that. In some way, you're adding
Yeah.
intensity to your workouts. Uh, Things can get kind of crazy when you start adding weight and lowering reps,
Mm.
and when you start changing things up and learning new movements and stuff like that. Things can definitely get a little crazy. And so having a good coach to kind of come in and be like, hey, I'm going to walk you through this journey. We're going to get to the point that you want to get to, but we're going to do it properly and minimize injury is so
Mm.
key. And a lot of coaches won't really think through their clients' bodies. They won't try and understand their clients' bodies. They'll just say, okay, here's a program. This is the one I copy paste to all my clients, right? But
Yeah.
understanding what's going on with your clients' bodies is key because Jimmy's knee problems, you're not going to give Jimmy the same leg day as Billy, who has perfect knees, right? So,
Right.
working through those
I mean, you
injuries,
could. It'd be an interesting result, but it probably
yeah,
wouldn't work out the best for,
you
for
might
Jimmy.
you might
Jimmy's
fuck
knees might
Jimmy
be
up.
crying, man.
So yeah,
Jimmy said, "Bruh, my leg."
so that's the importance of having a trainer because that's that trainer will be able to guide you through that process, right? So,
A good
um,
trainer.
a good trainer, right? A good
Let's put it
trainer.
that way.
Thank you, appreciate
Because
that.
there are levels to this shit.
Yes,
You know.
yes, 100%, bro. There's levels to this shit. Um, yeah, so let's kind of transition a little bit. Then we talked about like the fucking intense bro science part of it. Moving over
Mm,
to the science part of it. And now this I
mm,
think can get a little tricky because there's some people in this community who can get, based on my observations, who can get offended if you say something this way or offended say something this way. And to be honest, in my opinion, science like that, and this is what I'm studying right now in college. It's part. You're part of a conversation, right? You're part of an ongoing conversation about
mm,
life and the function of the body and the function of the body when it comes to the individual and how these systems work, and there's anomalies here and anomalies there, and so it's just always evolving, always growing, and I think people in general, and we'll touch on this in a little bit, but I think people in general, when they lean into that science side, they say, "Oh, I don't have to train with that intensity. Oh, I can train with less reps and still get the same results and stuff like that." And so, um, understanding the proper way to do movements, to execute movements, understanding, having a basic understanding of how muscles work and how macronutrients affect our bodies and how micronutrients affect our bodies is great education to have. And there's so much to delve into there. And there's a lot of fantastic people. I think Jeff Nippard comes to mind as somebody
mm.
who
He's the
really,
one for me.
yeah, really takes that science and is able to like convey it in a really smart way to the general population. I think there's a lot of wealth uh, and knowledge and value in that scientific piece of lifting, because that, I mean, that's the basis for all the things we do in the gym, right? How to how to grow muscle, the optimal way to hit a muscle, um, nutrition science, everything, recovery science, everything under that umbrella. It comes from
Mm.
science. I think the problem comes in when people lean too much into the science and say, I don't have to train hard. I can just do this or do this, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know what you think about that, but it's kind of my thoughts.
I mean, yeah, like I guess when you talk about like I call them the optimal bros. The people that come to mind initially are Jeff Nippard. You look back, like I think the oldest one going back that I found was Athlean X, but that guy's voice annoys the shit out of me, so I didn't watch him for very long. And when I found Jeff Nippard, I shifted away from Athlean X to Jeff. And then even more recently with like the boom of TikTok and stuff, you look at guys like JPG coaching.
He's great.
He's very much informational in the optimal sense, but obviously understands that you still need to train with a certain intensity. So like guys like that are really good for this side of lifting. You know, if you want some psychotic like person screaming at you or yelling in the gym and doing that crazy like style of training that we were talking about before, that's great. There are people that do that, but then you look at like the optimal bros, which you know these guys are, it's very science based, like you said. It's very information based when you watch their channels or their you know accounts. You look at what they post, they're still going hard, but not to a point where they need to be screaming in the gym and things like that. They just understand like, hey, like I'm going to push my body this way and this is how I'm going to do it, and I know I'm still going to get the result. And obviously if you look at their bodies and stuff, it shows. Like they obviously are clearly getting results from what they're doing.
Right.
JPG I've been following for maybe like 2.5 3 years now, and his body's transformed like multiple times from, you know, between his bulks and his cuts and everything. His style of training clearly works. Like his
Mm-hmm.
diet and his training style, it gets results. And
Mm-hmm.
so like you said, the science behind it is, you know, just another evolution of human development and how you can be the best physical version of yourself from training this way as well. You know, and obviously like both styles of training do work, and it's a matter of finding what you're more comfortable doing and what you enjoy the most. Like you said, you're very much, you love the gritty, like grind it out, you know, maybe get a little groan in the gym, a little teeth grinding and stuff like that. Whereas I'm very much more like, I'm going to push myself, but I know if this is where my body's going to get to, like that's where I'm going to get to. And like, yeah, I'll try and push as hard as I can to get a few more reps out if I can, but I'm also not going to put myself in a position where I'm borderlining that injury territory. I just, at my age now, being almost 29 and having lifted for as long as I have, it's easier for me to get to that borderline injury point than it would be for someone like yourself who's younger,
Right.
and hasn't had multiple shoulder dislocations, ankle injuries, things like that from sports that not hinder me, but I need to be aware of when I'm training, so I don't re-aggravate something like that. So
Right.
yeah, again, it's about finding what's best for the individual and not so much finding what's best for a general population of everyone looking to train or get into the gym. I think you just need to, I mean, fuck around and find out like what you like and what training style is best for you. I think
Right.
is the way to go about it.
Right. Yeah. And Josh in the chat just brought up a really good point. Kevin, what up, Day Zero Squad? What's going on, brother? Josh and Hellman. Did they talk about comprehensive wellness? I smiled when I saw that chat come in because this is something we've been talking about for a long time. I talked to you, Dylan, about it, and talked to Josh a lot about it, and the boys. But comprehensive wellness, to me, involves all aspects of health and wellness, and all aspects of not only training but nutrition and recovery, and mental health as well, right? All these things, and I tell my clients this when I have sit down conversations with them, these onboarding calls with them. I say all of these things affect each other. So it's important to look at your sleep. It's important to look at your nutrition. It's important to look at your training because you could push super hard in the gym, but if you're not fueling your body correctly, if you're not recovering correctly, you're not going to achieve your goals, and you're not going to reach. You're not going to feel good when you get to the point where you wanted to. I wanted to get a six pack, but now I don't have a six pack, right? And so that's a very general example. But it's the first thing that came to mind.
Doesn't apply to everyone.
No. But I think that
I wanted to get a six pack, but you ate McDonald's every day.
I think there's
like, you can do that, but like
yeah. I think there's a deeper understanding that a lot of people overlook when it comes to training, health, wellness, the whole nine. And I think it's really normal for us, and this podcast right now that we're recording really coincides with what I'm doing right now in school. I'm doing a lot of research on nutrition in America and fitness and sleep in America right now for a speech I'm giving later on, and so in next week actually, and I don't want to misquote any statistics or anything, but some of the statistics I found are crazy. We just lack the proper education, and we're so caught up in what are 3 exercises that are going to give me 16-inch biceps in 2 weeks, as opposed to how can I get better?
If only, right?
Right, right. If only. How can I get better sleep? How can I train smart and hard? How can I improve my cardiovascular endurance? Because guess what? Those things allow you to spend more time with your kids. Those things allow you to be more present with your family and your friends. Those things allow you to make better social connections because of the mental benefits. So like all these things are connected, right? And we often don't realize it. Our sleep, our training, our recovery in general, our nutrition, all these things are connected. And so that's kind of what comprehensive wellness is. And I think a lot of the time, no, Josh, they don't. A lot of these people, those optimal pros like you're talking about, they'll talk about the gym. But I think Jeff Nippard touches on nutrition. Definitely, he does. He's a great. If you guys want a ton of information on training and breaking down scientific articles, stuff like that, go check out Jeff Nippard's channel. He's got like 4 million subscribers or something. Super incredible dude. Josh says, people want results not just in the gym but all around. Exactly, and and people think that there's one solution and just one solution, and there's not. Um,
Mm.
and obviously, each person kind of has their own goals, but man, when you break it down, you're gonna get so much better sleep if you train with intensity
Yeah.
and like not just go in and did I hit the bicep at the right angle. Just sometimes you just got to go in the gym and lift
Just
fucking
smash it.
hard and then go home and sleep hard, right? And that's gonna
Yeah.
produce more muscle growth than it would if you just hit the bicep at the right angle or did this or did whatever.
Mm.
um and people overlook that a lot, I think. And it's not easy for everybody, and that's another perk of working with a trainer. Is a lot of people that's overwhelming. A lot of people that's overwhelming to hear, like, oh fuck, like I gotta change this, I gotta change that, I gotta change this. But it's a process, and that's
Mm.
what I try and teach people as well when I'm engaging in them on phone calls. Like, hey, it's not gonna happen right away, and that's okay. But if you do it right and you take the time to work through these processes, you're gonna get not just better results, but fucking longer lasting results over time.
Mm.
And so I think like there's a cognitive benefit to lifting fucking heavy and just going stupid and being insane and walking out of the gym and being like,
Mm.
I did that. Right, I did that. I just
Mm.
crushed that, right? But that went in a million different directions. but I think that comprehensive wellness is an amalgamation of a lot of different things, and it's important. It's important to understand that there's science behind a lot of this stuff, but there's a whole other side of it too. That's mental, mental not only to push through the workout, but mental to be like, I'm not gonna skip the gym today, right? Mental to be like, I'm gonna push harder than I did last week. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna raise the standard for myself. So,
Bro, I'm still caught up on amalgamation. That's a fucking great word. I have no idea what
I
that means.
said
But
all
shit,
that.
you made that sentence flowed so perfectly. Like if that word was completely wrong, I would have had no idea. Whatever that word means, like that's fantastic. I wouldn't have had a clue that wasn't right if it wasn't. But you made it sound like it was. So like, shit, bro. Like
That's
it
funny,
shows my
man.
education level of
That's,
being in junior college. So.
well, that's so funny. Well, you came to America for college, so clearly we failed you.
Yeah, true. Like I just barely did any work in junior college and still had like a 3.0 GPA. So like, you know, yeah, we're not gonna get
Um,
into the education system, but
maybe we'll start a different podcast later on down the line, but
right,
not right now.
but,
No, no.
but
Um,
damn, amalgamation. I'm gonna write that one down
yeah.
and I'm gonna use that next podcast.
That's
I need to
funny.
figure out what that means first, but
That's funny.
we rock.
Um, but yeah, man, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on with that comprehensive wellness. Great question,
Hmm.
Josh. People, and you're totally right. People want results on in the gym, but kind of all around in their life, and it doesn't look the same for everybody. It doesn't look the same for everybody. So yeah,
I can vouch for that.
it doesn't look the same for everybody, right? Just because you
Yeah.
see one person doing it on Instagram or fucking X or whatever, it doesn't mean
Uh,
that it's
bro.
true. You know.
Yeah. Instagram is bullshit. Like Instagram shows you what people want you to see. Like
Hmm.
Instagram doesn't show you everything. Like I hate Instagram as much as like I understand it's a tool and a platform. I hate like the fitness influencer side of Instagram unless the person is showing you the real side of it, which is why I prefer to watch influencers on YouTube over Instagram because when you watch like a CBum vlog, you see the ins and outs of his whole day. You see how tired he is sometimes, how stressed out he is sometimes, how, he breaks down and cries at times. You jump on Instagram and you see pictures like flexing or chicks in a bikini, like ripped and shredded on the beach in fucking, the Maldives or whatever, like living up life, but don't realize that like when they get home, they're actually like crying themselves to sleep because they're miserable and don't like what they're doing. Like the amount of emission on Instagram that you don't get on like something like a YouTube vlog is why I choose to watch YouTube over like seeing people on Instagram. But again, I do understand that it is a platform for people to grow. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things, like you said, it looks different for everyone. The sleep, the nutrition, everything like that. Like I had a friend come to me the other day, my housemate actually. She goes, "Hey, like, I want to lose some weight. Like I'm feeling like I've put on a few kilos like over the last few months. Like, can you give me like what you eat so I can?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "What I eat is going to be very different to what you should be eating if you want to lose weight." I'm on, like, at the time I was still in a bulk. I was like, "I'm on 3,500 calories. You're not eating that."
Yeah.
Like, and she's,
No.
she's like 5'6" and like, I don't know, 65, 70 kilos or something like that. So, she, I had to kind of explain to her, like, this is how you calculate where your maintenance is, or kind of a rough idea of where your maintenance is.
Right.
Your day to day is like lightly active. So, putting that into perspective, this is what your maintenance calories would be, and this is probably close to what you're eating now. Let's tone this back a little bit. Let's, cut 300 calories off per day, and then let's see where you go from there. And like, she's not in the gym, she's not super active, but like she walks her dog and stuff like that. So it's like just making that change to her diet is going to help her. Whereas like, you can't just copy paste someone's diet plan or someone's workout plan and expect it to work for you. It might, but it's not like a copy paste method. Like you said, each individual person is going to be very different, depending on their body type, their activity levels, things like that.
Right.
Someone like me, like, yes, I work in a gym, but I also sit behind a desk 95% of my day. So, I'm in a sales office, I'm making phone calls, I'm, talking to people about the gym, I'm trying to help them get signed up. The time I do get out of the office is if I need to tour somewhere around the gym and walk them around the gym, but that's only 4 or 5 times a day. And that lap around the gym takes like 15 minutes. So, and it's not like, I wouldn't consider that activity
Right.
as like walking around the gym, showing someone the gym. I very much believe that I'm a very stagnant person unless I'm training. So it's like I have to make sure that I train every single day, because I do sit down for 95% of my day. And then when I get home, I go into streaming or editing or, gaming content, or sitting and playing games to get content to record and edit for later to post on TikTok and things like that. My lifestyle is very heavily behind a desk. So I have to do the right things to take care of my body in terms of, I feel like I end up like this sometimes, where I'm hunched and my neck is forward. So like day before yesterday, I paid to get a massage just to like take all the knots and shit out of my back and my neck, so that I'm not like a little hunchback at my desk. Like I'm actually sitting upright and my shoulders are back and down, and I'm not, super stressed about my body feeling like shit, so that when I go to train, I'm not, I guess, in the best position to have a good lift and have a good
Right.
session. Same thing with sleep. Like as a gamer, like it's a very unhealthy habit for gamers to be up all night playing games, gremlin mode, just like sweating in Call of Duty lobbies, and going hard with these like 15-year-old kids that have no life and just play COD all day. So, to compete at that level, like I've got to put a certain amount of hours in, but also understanding that my body needs sleep to, like you said, recover, and for the muscles to grow and develop and things like that too. So there are nights where I'll get 4 hours sleep, but then there are nights where, a lot of nights where I try to get minimum 7 or 8, but I know like certain days where that's just not possible for me, and I need
Yeah.
to be up late. Like Modern Warfare 3 just released, like day of launch, I think I was up until 3 a.m. and had to be up at 8 the next morning. Then the day after that, I was still grinding, same thing. I was up until 4 a.m., had to be up at 8 the next day. Like those 2 days back to back, ultimately, led to terrible lifts in the gym the
Mm-hmm.
next day. I felt sluggish, I felt tired, I felt shit. My food was the same, that didn't change. I still ate the same thing I eat every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, something as simple as just getting the right amount of sleep can cause you, or not getting the right amount of sleep, I should say, can cause you to underperform in the gym, and that's
Mm-hmm.
ultimately where you go backwards. So you talk about like everything bundled together. It's not just your training, it's your food, it's your sleep, it's everything. It's the way your body feels, the way your body reacts to certain things. It is not one singular thing. It's my manager has this analogy of spinning plates. You ever seen those people at the circus that have they've got the sticks and they
Things, and
spin
then
the
they
plates
spin.
on them, and they've
Yeah.
got like, right, they've got like six plates. It's like, you need to spin a lot of plates at once. You've got to
Mm-hmm.
have, your nutrition plate over here spinning, your training plate over here spinning, your sleep plate over here spinning. And if one of those plates falls off, obviously it takes away from what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or, if one plate's spinning a bit slower because you haven't been getting enough sleep, or you eating like shit, like those things are going to ultimately take away from the end result and the performance that you have and what you're doing. So, there's another cute little analogy from myself for you guys. That's number two. We need an analogy counter up on the screen. That's number two for the day from me. So
Yeah, man. I definitely agree. It's all part of the same thing. It's all part of comprehensive wellness. And uh, Kevin McConnell, he said in the chat, he said Insta is full of the bodybuilders that inject BS into their bodies for views. And I'll tell you that there are, and we can kind of wrap up. I think maybe the conversation here because I know you've got to head to work here soon. Um,
that's cool.
I was in Houston at Alpha Land. I don't know if anybody watching is heard of Alpha Land.
Yeah.
But I was in Houston at Alpha Land, and there's a big difference between the people who are bodybuilders to be bodybuilders and who love the craft and enjoy the process and have that as a career, and who are aspiring to make it their career. And people who say they're bodybuilders but don't really compete
You just
and
do it for socials.
pretend they're natural and do it for socials and do it for views and stuff like that.
You're not natural.
And so yeah, you've got a good point there, Kevin. There's a lot of people who set unrealistic standards, and the reality is, all bodybuilders at the top level, they are on
On
some
something.
kind of steroid. It's the people who don't take that much, maybe don't look that crazy, but pretend that they're natural, pretend they're something they're not. Let's take Liver King, for example, who he looks completely
Fuck
unnatural,
that guy.
but he's selling things on the basis of you can be just like me naturally. And that's just false. And it pisses me the fuck off when people do that. And that's like this slime, the rats, the grossness that exists in this industry is like, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are the people selling these products doing? Just like, go back to the Instagram conversation, just posting fake shit to get sales, right?
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people do. And Kevin, you're totally right. Like the Russian Popeye guy who died from the silicone injections. Yeah, and people will go to crazy lengths, right?
Mm.
And so health first, right? Take care of your
Mm.
health, cardio, proper training, proper nutrition, proper sleep, comprehensive wellness. I'm going to say it again, comprehensive wellness. It's so incredibly important to be health conscious in every area of your life, right? It's
Mm.
so
Yeah.
fucking important to be health conscious in every area of your life, especially in an age of social media where we're constantly getting dopamine, in an age um, of food, just gross food that's just being thrown at us and shoved in our face every single second we watch a football game or do this or do that. Um, and no sleep. Like people think it's obviously you can't get 8 hours of sleep every night. That's just not the reality. But sleep is so important to maximize muscle growth and stuff like that. And uh, you gotta pay attention to all that stuff, man. That's one of the most important things I stress, and it doesn't have to happen all the way or all right away, but it's gotta happen. And if you want to perform at the highest level, if you want to perform at the best level, if you want to be the best version of yourself, then you gotta buy into that idea and just like have faith that you can do that. And not every day's got to be perfect, you know. Not every day's got to be like, oh, I hit my meals every single day for this, that's this, and this, and I train
I don't know.
perfectly and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But you can be gracious with yourself, but also hold yourself to a high standard. And I think that's the biggest message that I want to spread with Day Zero is that we're here to make a choice right now. We're here to make a choice today and hold ourselves to a higher standard. So, the rats. Kevin McConnell says the rats in all caps in X
Yeah.
chat. It's funny.
The rats.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like Instagram, like touching on Instagram again, it is so fucking easy to edit photos these days. Like, Jack, you're 100% familiar of like how many people in the fitness industry edit their photos, whether it's girls making their butt look bigger or guys making their waist look smaller or their abs pop more or whatever it might be. Like, there are so many tools out here now that will help give you the illusion that you're in better shape than you are. And like you said, like, will sell a program based on how they look, not based on what they do. So, so many young girls now, you know, and it's crazy that I see this like in the gym. Parents will come in with their 14-year-old daughter, which is the minimum age out here. People can sign up to a gym. They'll come out with their 14-year-old daughter, and one of our things is like, hey, like, what are you looking to work on? Are you playing sports? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? These teenage girls that are like 14, 15, 16, no, I just want a fat ass.
Wow.
Like,
That's just
oh, okay, like, that's great, that's fine, but like, they're like, oh yeah, like, I follow this girl on Instagram and she's doing XYZ and blah blah, and this is what, and like, later I'll go back and I'll look up the influencer that they're talking about, and I'm like, okay, your photos are edited.
mhm. They
You can
are.
see it, like the mirror behind them's warped, and like, you
Yep.
think I'm not going to see it, and it's like, you can't tell this 14-year-old kid like your influencer friend is a fraud, or your influencer, inspiration is a fraud, and they're not to the full extent, but obviously they're selling a program based on, you know I've edited my photo to look like I have a tiny waist and a big butt and whatever else, and these young girls or even guys like that are like, oh, this guy has massive biceps or huge shoulders or whatever, like, I want to look like that. I'm going to buy his generic $10 program that he's selling on his fitness profile, and then I'm going to go join a gym and I'm just going to go and spam that.
Hmm.
And like, it might work to a degree. Like, obviously their style of training probably has got them to the position that their body is in today, but expecting the same result from a generic program on some influencers page is probably not going to get you to where they are.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
may be on something, they may be editing their photos,
Hmm.
they may have a different body type to you. Like, yes, it's good. It can be good in the sense of like, you might get the right information on exercises that pair well together. Like, if it's a program to develop your shoulders or whatever like that, you need a workout to get bigger shoulders. Knowing the different types of heads to work in your shoulder and what exercises will do that, you know, regular gym goers that just go to the gym because they know they need to go to the gym and stay healthy probably don't understand how the body works. They don't
Right.
understand that there's multiple heads in a tricep. They don't understand that there's multiple heads in a deltoid. Like, they need
Hmm.
like different exercises to work different parts of a muscle.
Hmm.
I guess a generic program can kind of show them that, but expecting to look like that influencer based off their $10 program is probably not going to get you there. And that's
Right.
just the reality of Instagram. Like, it is a lot of it. I'm not saying everyone on Instagram, but a lot of the fitness influencers are like, how can I make money from Instagram?
Hmm.
I'm going to post a photo with my massive biceps or my butt popping out or an edited photo that makes people want to look like me, and then I'm going to be like, hey, here's my 6-week bicep growing program
Mm-hmm.
to have massive arms like me. Do this
Mm-hmm.
twice a week for only $10.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
cool. If I'm buying that shit, I'm fully expecting to look like you by the end of the 8-week
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not realistic. Like, people that don't know about the fitness industry and don't know about how much deception and, I guess, falsified training there is out there, um, can get got. They get
Mm-hmm.
got in terms of like, hey, I've spent this money on a program. I've done it for 8 weeks, and like, yeah, I saw
Mm-hmm.
some results, but like, I thought I was gonna look like her, or I thought I was gonna look like
Mm-hmm.
him. Um, and that's just the reality of Instagram, man. Which is why
Yeah.
when I'm looking for information, I stay away from Instagram as much as possible. Like, I would rather talk to the trainers at my gym. I would rather talk or watch YouTube videos of people that know what they're talking about and actually apply it, and don't just, I guess, fake their photos to sell programs.
Yes.
Like you said, Liver King was like the prime example.
Yeah.
Dude was jacked,
Yeah.
like unhealthily jacked. Like, dude
Mm-hmm.
was like, looked like he was gonna have a heart attack like any
Every
day.
day. Every
Because,
day.
yeah, because he was at the point where you were like, holy shit, how are you not on something? Because he was
Yes.
preaching natty, and he's
Right?
fucking not. Like, anyone with a brain knew that he wasn't. But I guarantee you there were hundreds, if not thousands, of people that went carnivore diet because dude just ate fucking liver and cow's testicles for like every day.
Right.
And it's like they believed that this was the diet that they needed
Mm-hmm.
to go and look like him. And it's
Mm-hmm.
bullshit, man. Like, he was
Totally.
like, oh yeah, if you want to look like me, go and buy my nutrition plan and I'll tell you exactly what to eat for every single meal. And people went and did it, and sure, like, their body probably changed, but that's purely because those people probably weren't getting enough protein intake to start with.
Mm-hmm.
They were probably getting 50 grams of protein in a day,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
like they started eating nothing but meat, and sure, like, your protein probably went to fucking 200. Of course you're going to see results going from 50 grams of protein a day to 200 grams a day,
Yeah.
but that's not to put you in a position to look like Liver King. Liver
Yeah.
King probably had test, D-ball, fucking everything
It's
else
on the
under the
internet.
sun.
It's on the internet.
That's what
All
I
the
mean.
stuff you're taking.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just basic stuff, test, trend, G-ball, like the old fucking Ronnie Coleman
Yeah.
clip.
Yeah.
That's and Liver King was probably running all of that shit to look the way that he
Yeah.
looked. So,
Mm-hmm.
he then profited from making a social presence on like a TikTok or an Instagram, and preaching that he was natural, and the only reason he looks like he looks is because of his diet plan, and then what goes and sells that diet plan to unknowing people that don't realize that he's full of shit and he's a fraud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
You
I
know,
think that that description of what's going on in the industry is not like it lays out so clearly why I'm so and why we are so passionate about what day zero is and like what it fucking stands for, because everybody's on their own journey. Everybody's uh, trying to figure out their own life, their own health, and it's not gonna happen from these 15-second Instagram clips. It's not gonna happen because you buy a testosterone booster off of, you know, Doge Street
GNC,
coin, like fucking Twitter accounts.
Doge
Like
3 coin.
it's yeah, it's I don't,
Yeah,
it's not gonna
it's always the
happen.
Dogecoin. It's always the Doge accounts, man.
It's not gonna happen by watching two videos and doing those ab workouts over and over and over again. It's gonna happen by being proactive about your own
Six
health.
minute abs.
And there's so and look, any workout is good. Like is a good workout. Any kind of exercise is a good exercise. That's baseline, right? But any kind of activity, I should say, is good activity.
Yeah,
But
moving your body. Yeah.
the emotion is lotion. That is not my term. That is somebody else's.
Did you say motion is lotion?
Yes, it is. It is. Motion is
Hey,
lotion. You got to move
bro.
your joints. And,
Hey,
um,
that can be taken so many different ways.
um,
I like it. I like it. Motion is lotion. There
but
you
yeah,
go. Analogy number 3
and
for the
now
day.
the
Courtesy of Jack.
motion is a amalgamation
Lubricant.
of good things.
Amalgamation. Exactly that.
But no, man, it's to kind of push a point with that, all that to say, like, it's important that you do your research. It's important that you stay informed, and it's also important that you lift heavy shit. And that's kind of I think a good spot for us to kind of start to wrap that up, because, bro,
Very good segue.
yeah, I think Josh said in the chat here. I was gonna say something, but I lost my train of thought. So thanks, Josh, for having something ready, ready there in the chat. He says
We're
this is
good at
really,
this.
really good content, guys. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Josh. You know, show
Thank
much
you,
love.
bro.
Show much love. Hey, listen. If you guys are watching, just real quick, want to shout out the Innovators Think Tank that happens on Saturdays, hosted by Josh Hellman, co-hosted by Kevin McConnell and Mattia. And these guys, look, they've been doing it for over half a year now, and it's just an incredible Twitter space. If you guys are watching on X Space, excuse me, if you guys are watching on X, go ahead, click on their accounts. You can click on their accounts in the chat, I think, and go over, give them a follow. Just a fantastic place to be on a Saturday afternoon. I retweet their stuff all the time, so you guys can find their stuff through my page. Fantastic space to be in. They help you take your ideas to impact. So if you guys have a business, or an idea, that's the space to be in. 60-second pitches, innovators hot seat, ITT experts focusing on everything from leadership to focus to becoming a better speaker to the law of speaking. At some points, these guys just cover it all. So big shout out to the Innovators Think Tank team over there on X. Just absolutely killing it all the time. I want to transition real quick, and we're going to talk about the Olympia a little bit. You have time for that, Tone?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I got like 30 minutes, so we're chilling. We can
Okay,
talk about
cool.
Olympia for a bit.
Cool. Yeah. Let's talk about that. So, we kind of touched on some pretty good questions. I really like what we talked about so far. What got us both into the gym? How did we both get here? What does it look like to blend the intensity of training to failure with the science of muscle growth, and even talking more about like the impact of unrealistic physiques that we see kind of all over the internet, right? Um, and I think those are all topics that we can like touch on more in future episodes, especially touching on people's physiques on the internet. I really want to talk about that more. Maybe next week we can kind of jump into that a little bit more, and the effects, you know, of just constantly seeing unrealistic physiques and unrealistic expectations on your feed. Just changing your brain in so many ways. So we could definitely touch on that more, I think, in the weeks to come for sure. But both of us are into bodybuilding. And so we had to cover in this episode a little bit of the Olympia. Now, the Olympia happened 2 weeks ago, end of October, I think.
Yeah, weekend before last. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Olympia is I'm sure you guys have heard of it. If not, you've heard of Arnold winning the Olympia. And if not, it is the biggest bodybuilding show in the world, pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe rivaled. I mean, the Arnold Sports is really big, the Arnold Sports Festival, but
I would say Olympia
It's
beats the Arnold out for sure.
Yeah, in terms of bodybuilding, the Olympia is definitely it. So while we talk about this, everybody who's watching in the chats, if you guys got questions about anything health related, wellness related, nutrition, training, recovery, sleep, comprehensive wellness, anything we've talked about today, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those questions in a bit here after we kind of go through this Olympia recap. So yeah, let's kind of jump into this. Just quick recap, man. What a event! What an event! What a competition! Um,
Mhm.
if you guys don't know, there's multiple categories for the Olympia. So um, there's open or men's bodybuilding. There's classic physique. There's men's physique. Um, there's wheelchair. There's I don't know all the women's divisions yet. I know there's wellness. There's bikini. There's women's bodybuilding. And there's a few others. Figure. There's a couple of others that I'm missing. Um, tons and tons of divisions. I'm gonna pull up a couple pictures here. What did you think about the Olympia overall, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, like I didn't get a chance to watch it because I was working over that weekend. So
Right.
I've just seen some recaps and some photos and a few different videos like on YouTube and stuff like that. So for me, the main interest is classic physique in the men's division. I don't take too much interest in the other categories. Like I'll keep an eye on the open, but I'm really more interested in classic physique, and that's purely because of Chris Bumstead and what he's been able to do in that division. Like, now 5 times in a row has won that category and is just the epitome of the sport in that
Just
sense.
insane.
Which is insane in by any means. Like the Olympia is hard enough to win one for these guys, and he's now won 5 in a row. So um, again, when you talk about people I watch on YouTube, he's one of the main ones. And like his videos are 40 minutes long. And to sit there and watch his day to day for 40 minutes actually shows just how interesting the behind the scenes is and what he does on his daily to stay in shape for these kind of events and these kind of competitions. Um, so when it comes around for Olympia, like the open really is the cream of the crop. Like they're the biggest dudes. They're the dudes that obviously have the most size and the most muscle on, but I find classic physique more interesting to watch because of the personalities in that, like Chris Bum said, like Ramon Dino, Breon Ainsley, those guys. Like I feel like there's more personality in that, whereas in the open it's just these massive monsters that
Right.
you don't really see a lot of. Like they're so focused on just the bodybuilding side of it that there's no sort of social out there for them to see. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things where watching the classic, um, you could see that Seabum was a step ahead of everyone again, which is insane because that dude just year after year keeps putting in the work and keeps coming out on top and keeps doing more and more to stay ahead of everyone else. And just when you think there might be a chance that someone else takes it from him, he hits the next pose and you're like, okay, he's miles ahead in that category there. So I guess for me watching it, the thing that I noticed very quickly was like, okay, like Ramon was very close to Chris in some of the poses this year. Um, but the one thing, like, just as I was thinking, oh shit, like Ramon looks really good. Chris might be in a little bit of trouble here. They turn around and hit like a back double bicep, and I looked at Chris's hamstrings, and he's just miles ahead of Ramon in the hamstring department. And I'm like, okay, sick. Like their backs are similar, but dude, that back pose, like Chris just his legs were just a step ahead. So um it's one of those things where dude, look at him. Like dude is a fucking monster. Um just yeah, like just looking at the definition through his glutes, his quads, his hamstrings, like to still have the size that he has. There's a side by side of him and Ramon later in this video actually where they both hit a back double bicep, and yeah, like looking at the different Like, look at his hamstrings right there. Like, look at that. It's just ridiculous where he was able to get his body to for this Olympia compared to previous years, even though that was already incredible. He just looked insane this year. So for me, the most interesting is the classic physique. I look at the Open just for the results and a little bit of like what happened. So there was obviously a little bit of controversy in the Open this year. Um, but yeah, I just think the classic is so much more interesting to me. So and it's purely because of videos like this one that you've got playing in the background where you see the behind the scenes, you see the footage of what goes into the lead up to these competitions. And as we're watching, Ramon and Chris side by side now, you have a look like these dudes are at the top of their game, right? Look at the difference in their physiques, even though they're both extremely low body fat, have a ton of muscle on them. Look at Ramon's abs compared to Chris's abs. Like, still looks very different. And I would argue that, Ramon's got more abs there, or it looks like Ramon's got more abs there because of the way his stomach sits. Chris has a better vacuum. Size wise, Chris, I would say, is leaner, but still has the size there to compete. And this is the shot I'm talking about here, like that's coming up here in a second. Watch when they both hit this pose. Watch the hamstring difference between the two of them. You just look at that. Look at the bubble in the back of Chris's hamstring compared to Ramon. And yeah, I guess from an overall standpoint, Chris looks better, but like look at Ramon's abs compared to Chris's. Chris has really big, blocky abs,
Mm-hmm.
and Ramon has like these crazy little inserts like into his abs that like make him look super shredded.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think obviously like Chris was the winner in this one. When you see him side by side, you can kind of tell. Um, just in general size too. Like look at the two of them across the shoulders. Um, yeah, Chris is just a different breed, and dude should be in the Open because he's just an absolute monster. But um, yeah, it's so interesting to see them at this level on the biggest stage in the world for this kind of competition.
Right.
That Chris is still a step ahead of everyone, so that's super interesting. And I'm sure you could probably touch more on the Open and the other categories than I
Mm-hmm.
can, but that's just kind of my perspective. Like looking at that pose there, like Chris just looks insane. Ramon looks insane too, but Chris is just that little bit ahead of him, I think, in all poses. So, and you mentioned something to me the other day about like when you're being judged in a competition like this, it's also about your posing. It's not just about
Yeah.
how your body looks. Like it's the control you have when hitting these poses, and
Yeah.
I guess being able to show off the work that you've put in and put your body in a position or a pose to really demonstrate where you're at compared to the other guys. And Chris just does a ridiculous job of doing that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you can touch on the Open a little bit more than I can. So,
Yeah. Well, I'll touch on that real quick, and then I'll move on to the Open. But what you just said, like, take a look at these guys. Their their back poses, and take a look at how they're holding these poses, right? So this guy's shaking right here.
yeah,
Urs is shaking a little bit. Ramon's shaking. Ref Diesel's shaking. Look at the conditioning and just stability. I don't even know if that's
Chris
like a
barely
term.
moves.
Yeah, he barely moves on stage. He's so locked into his form. He's so locked into his craft and so practiced in these poses that he doesn't need to spend all that energy and you know shake through the whole thing just to get the most out of it. Like he he just has it already, which is crazy, and some of that comes from muscle maturity, definitely. But that just adds to his stage presence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll touch on the Open real quick. The Open was pretty much everybody knew it was going to be between Derek Lunsford and Hadi Chupin. Both with the same coach, obviously. Hani Rambod, a fantastic coach, somebody who I hope only can hope one day to work with or at least to get a workout in with, right? Like he'd just
Yeah,
be
that would be
such a pleasure
sick.
to. And when I say work with, I mean like uh, learn from him and just like have a gym session with him, or like just pick his brain a little bit, just at the top of his craft, right?
Have
Um,
him on the podcast.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Let's get Hottie Rambo on the podcast, man.
yeah, that would be crazy, bro.
Um, but he just yeah, he really puts these athletes through it, but it's worth it because they are just killing the game. He has Chris Bumstead, Derek Lunsford, Hadi Chupin, and so many other Olympia athletes, and um, it was close. It was close, especially in the prejudging. It was close between Hadi and Derek, but Derek came out better in the finals the next day and just kind of blew it out of the water. His back pose was better. His front pose was better. He came in drier, fuller, and that's what you want to see. I'll pull up a couple of those comparisons right here. This was from prejudging here. Um, so here's Hottie Chupin in the middle, and the Derek Lunsford on the left here. Derek Lunsford, good friends with my coach Austin Espy. Shout out Austin Espy, fantastic coach. Um, Derek was working hard, really hard this year. Um, just fantastic voice in the bodybuilding community. Samson Dowda here. Um, and just all three absolutely killers. But Derek just came out better in every other way, or in every single way. So um, good to see that they're on good terms now. If you guys keep up with bodybuilding, you'll see that Hottie and Derek have been on good terms. But that's kind of a little bit of a recap of the Open. Derek came in a little bit weaker in prejudging, stronger later. And if you look at the scorecards, you'll see that a lot of people, I think, at least 3 or 4 judges had him winning each time. So, um, yeah, that's kind of the Open. Men's physique, Ron Terry. Shout out that athlete. He's incredible. He's been working hard for this. Gone 8th to 1st in the past 8 years. So, um, he's doing incredible. He's made some crazy improvements. Deserves that win 100%. Yeah, it was a fantastic Olympia to watch. I'm super happy that we got to kind of experience it this year, and definitely has been inspiring me to work my ass off in the gym.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, like these guys, they work all year for
Mm-hmm.
this. Like obviously like they do other shows in between and everything, but like realistically like the Arnold and the Olympia, like you said, are the two main ones that everyone kind of goes for and kind of is working towards winning in that sense. So it's crazy to see where they get to. And one thing like in that last shot that you showed at the Open with the three of them standing next to each other, like people might think one certain athlete looks bigger than the other, but height plays such a big part in it too. Like you look at the height difference between the three of them, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, Hardy in the middle is obviously he won last year, correct?
Yep, he did.
He won Olympia last year, yeah. And Derek obviously won this year, but was it Samson, the third
Samson,
guy that
yep,
was in
third.
that?
Yep.
Yeah, Samson looks like an absolute monster, but is probably 3 to 4 inches taller than the other two guys.
Yeah.
Um,
He looks like
so
he's a
you
foot
know,
taller.
yeah,
It's
right.
insane.
And even in saying that, like for someone of his height to put on that amount of muscle, I would argue probably had to work harder
Yeah.
than the other two guys to
Yeah.
look the size he looked. So, you know, it doesn't always come down to uh like the work that you put. I mean, it does come down to the work that you put in, but um it might be a matter of like you'll have to work harder to be in a position to win based on what your body is like. And so
Mm-hmm.
him being in that taller like height range, he's got to put in so much work to add muscle. And anyone that's been a tall, lanky, like 6'4", 6'5" guy with no
Mm-hmm.
muscle on them and tried to put on muscle, like it takes a fuckload of work. Like I'm lucky
Mm-hmm.
that I'm bang on 6 foot.
Hmm.
And for me, if I want to put on muscle, like it's not ridiculously difficult. It's still hard, but it's not ridiculously difficult in comparison to someone who might be like 6'4", and their body type is it ectomorph body type.
I don't know.
Um, so being generally like skinnier.
Right.
You would know, like you were a skinny kid, right?
Yeah.
So you understand. You're like what, 6'1", 6'2", something like that.
6 foot and 3/4.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll say 6'1" for the podcast. You know, and that's the thing. Like I've always had like a little bit more muscular build. Jack was obviously a skinnier kid to start out, and for him to put on muscle, like he had to obviously put in the work to get to where he is now.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, I've been able to dip in and out of the gym, on and off, and
Right.
go sort of 6 months of training, 6 months without training, and do that like over the years and still maintain a good physique. um Not everyone can do that. Not
Hmm.
everyone is lucky enough to be able to do that. Like these people that are naturally skinnier, like they don't have a lot of muscle on their body to start with, so they got to put in extra work to get there. People that are bigger naturally, may have weight gain troubles, and obviously like gaining excess amounts of fat and things like that. So it can take more for them to cut and to lose weight and to lose body fat. um, I'm kind of lucky that I'm in that sweet spot in between where I can still maintain some good size and not get skinny either.
Right.
um, so I would argue I don't have to work as hard to maintain my physique where it is.
Hmm.
But obviously if I want to make drastic changes to my body, I still got to put the work in regardless. So,
Right.
but yeah, going back to the Olympia, those three guys, like fucking Samson just is a monster. Like I would be scared to see him walk past me anywhere, let
Yeah.
alone like in the street. That
Hmm.
guy is massive. And the other two guys obviously massive as well, but the height factor of Samson scares me. So um,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Yeah. Derek, obviously, like huge congratulations, not taking anything away from him. He was conditioned extremely well, and Hardy obviously as well. But yeah, you can't take away, can't fault the judges that they
Hmm.
saw what they saw on the day. They voted accordingly, and
Hmm.
yeah, Derek coming out on top. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a fantastic weekend. So many fantastic competitors. I'm excited for next year. The Open's going to be even crazier. Samson's going to come back better. There's going to be guys there who weren't there this year. There's a ton of
this year,
guys who weren't there this year. And so, in the Open category specifically, it's going to be crazy. I think Chris has multiple years left as champion. Um, they're also pregnant, so congratulations
I
to
was gonna
them.
say
And so,
congratulations to them. Interesting to see if that affects anything.
yeah, that would be an interesting topic to go through because there's multiple. Derek's wife is also pregnant, so I'd be interested to kind of delve into the sides of that a little bit. But yeah, I I really loved watching it. I had some other buddies that I was watching it with. I actually had my whole family there while we were watching, and they were pretty confused because they've never watched a bodybuilding show before. But it was
Fridays
cool.
on.
It was cool for them to like experience that for the first time on such a high level show, and for them to kind of get to know what's going on. Those guys worked their ass off. They're inspirations to many. Um, and it was just a fantastic weekend. I'm excited to look forward now. There's been some good shows since then. Uh, Arnold Sports Festival is coming up in a couple months, so that's going to be a great show. We'll definitely talk about that on the pod here. Maybe some other shows here and there, depending on what's going down. Um, Sometimes we'll throw in some NFL picks. We're still kind of playing around with what we want to do here um, on this podcast, but it's going to be an amalgamation of a bunch of different stuff. We
Word
definitely
of the day.
we want to spend a majority of our time talking about comprehensive wellness, talking about fitness, health, nutrition. Why are we doing the things we're doing? Why do we love it? How can we help other people? What are some tips? What are some tricks? Fielding any questions that you guys have to figure out the best way to attack life and attack the day. Um, and that's what we're going to be spending most of our time doing, but we kind of wanted to end this stuff with some stuff that we love. We love bodybuilding. We love the Olympia. We love sports. And so those are definitely stuff we're going to be covering in the future. But I'll run through a little quick recap real quick, man. Dylan, it's fantastic to have had you on. Get to know a little bit more about your story, bro. Talk about that blend between bro science and real science, and how that can affect our training, and talk about comprehensive wellness, nutrition, recovery, uh, everything that's good with that, and run through the Olympia real quick. It's always fun to talk about that sport. It's an incredible space. Hey, I just want to shout out real quick everybody in the chat who was here, everybody who's here on Kick, Twitch, Josh, Kevin. I seen you guys in the X chat the whole time. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much for the love, the support. We really appreciate you guys. We're gonna keep this moving, keep this rolling. Watch out for some clips on the social media from this podcast. We're gonna get that popping too. Man, just great conversations, good energy. I'm excited to keep moving. You got any last words, Dylan? Any last words? It sounded really intense. Got any final words for the podcast today?
Any last words? Jesus, sounds like you're never gonna see me then. Are you planning something or like?
Maybe.
Yeah, I might have to talk to my family. I might have to call over them real quick. Yeah, I mean, like, thanks for having me. Obviously, like, we're gonna keep doing this every week, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yep.
Again, like, just a shout out to everyone that tuned in. Like Jack said, keep an eye on socials, Day Zero Training, or platforms. I guess I'm going to plug myself real quick. So Dylan O'Connor on Instagram, and Dylan J Fitness on TikTok. So if anyone wants to go and check out sort of my profile, that's where you can find my stuff. I am a little bit goofy in the gym, so I do like the mic'd up videos here and there, a little bit of motivation stuff, those kind of things too. Plus just like some of my day to day. So if you guys are interested in any more of what I do, you can definitely find me in those places. But yeah, obviously just a really fun chat, Jack. I'll clip up this podcast, find some clips for TikTok for the Day Zero Training TikTok account, and other socials and stuff too. We'll be plugging out content from here on, and yeah, hopefully get some more people involved, and get more people coming to watch and tune into this space, and provide as much information as we can, and entertainment wise, and yeah, eventually this is going to go out in podcast form as well. I believe we'll get some audio cooked up for that, so we can get it out on Spotify or Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, podcast app and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much everything from me. Good chat.
I'll tell you, it's only gonna get
fun to talk about an amalgamation
of things.
I'm using that word right.
Man, it's only gonna get better and better. Not only is the production of the stream gonna get better and better, I have a lot of fun things planned, but also, the flow of the episodes, the content, like everything's just gonna get juicier, so shout out to everybody here. Shout out to everybody here. Shout out to Blaker Dudes on Twitch for the follow 5 minutes ago. Appreciate you, Blaker Dudes.
Yes, sir.
Let's fucking go, baby.
Our first legit follow.
Yep, it is. It's crazy, huh?
Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. If you guys are on X, go ahead, and if you head to my profile, the pinned tweet on my profile, which will be repinned here in the next 5 minutes, you can join the Day Zero community, where I'm going to be updating and posting more content, providing value to you guys about your nutrition, your workouts, fielding any questions that you guys have, and just cheering each other on, working on each other's goals, and encouraging each other to be better every single day. If you guys are over on Twitch, go ahead, drop a follow. And if you guys are over on Kick, we appreciate you guys watching, tuning in, checking it out. Thank you so much again, Blaker Dudes. I appreciate you. Thank you. You're one of the first. We love you, man. We love you. Thank you for joining in. Thank you guys for stopping in. Right. Again, this is the Day Zero team. Dylan, Jack, Whitney. Let's get that music popping.
Appreciate y'all.
Signing out. Hey.